Have you ever stood on Miami Beach at sunrise, barefoot in a $10,000 gown, and realized the only thing people ever loved was the light hitting your face, not the woman underneath it? I'm Charlotte Allen. Most of y'all still call me Charlie. I grew up barefoot in Naples, Florida, daughter of a shrimp boat captain and a church pianist. By 19, I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated Swimsuit. By 35, I owned the biggest swimwear brand south of New York. By 49, I found out my husband, his mama, and half the First Baptist of Coral Gables had been stealing every sunrise I ever gave them. This isn't a story about a cheating husband. It's a story about an entire Florida dynasty that decided my face, my money, and my silence were family property. And how, in one hurricane season, I took the whole sky back. Let me paint you the postcard first, because you need to understand what perfect looks like before you watch it burn. June 14, 1996. Biscayne Museum and Gardens. The royal poinciana trees were dropping red petals, like blood-soaked confetti across the Italian stone. I wore Vera Wang before Vera Wang dressed every bride in America. William Davis wore his grandfather's cufflinks, and that smile that could sell swampland to a New Yorker. William was old Palm Beach money, the kind that doesn't talk about money because it's been sitting in the same trust since 1872. Quarterback at Episcopal Academy, summers in Nantucket. Winter polo season in Wellington. His family had a pew at Bethesda by the sea that their name was literally carved into. When he asked me to marry him on the Naples Pier at sunset, pelicans diving into pink water behind us, I thought I was Cinderella and he was handing me the entire kingdom. His mama, Patricia Davis. Lord have mercy. Patricia ran the altar guild at First Baptist like it was the Pentagon. Every charity ball from Naples to Jupiter Island went through her first. She wore Lily Pulitzer like armor and pearls like she was born with them attached. Called me sugar to my face and that swimsuit girl behind my back for the first 5 years. But she kissed both my cheeks at our rehearsal dinner and said, "Welcome to the family, Charlotte, we take care of our own." I believed her. We had twin daughters 13 months after the wedding, Caroline and Elizabeth, baptized in the same font I was baptized in, white lace gowns made from my mama's wedding dress. They grew up in the Key Biscayne mansion we bought in '98, the one with the infinity pool that looks like it drops straight into the Atlantic Ocean, sunrise pink, sunset gold, hurricane shutters that cost more than most people's houses. I was still shooting campaigns at 49. Sports Illustrated brought me back for their legacy issue. Vogue did a feature called Timeless. My agent used to say, "Charlie Allen sells Florida sunshine better than the sun itself." And she was right. My swimwear line, Sunkissed, was in every Nordstrom from Miami to Seattle. 240 stores, $38 million in revenue the year I turned 48. Every Sunday we sat in the third row at First Baptist, William's arm around my shoulders, Patricia in the row behind us with her book club ladies, all of them in pastel and judgment. The girls sang in the youth choir. We did Easter brunch at the Biltmore. Christmas Eve candlelight service where I'd cry every single year during Silent Night because my daddy used to sing it on the shrimp boat when I was little. People magazine did a spread on us in 2010, Florida's Golden Family. There's a photo of all of us on our dock at sunset, the Miami skyline going purple behind us. William's hand on my waist, the girls laughing in matching lily dresses, Patricia smiling like she'd personally arranged the weather. The headline said, "Living the Dream in Paradise." I framed that magazine cover, hung it in our hallway where everyone could see it walking into our home. I hosted Thanksgiving for 40 people every year. Patricia's entire family, my mama who still played piano at Naples Community Church, William's business partners, half the deacons from church. I'd be in the kitchen at 5 in the morning, brining the turkey, making my mama's she crab soup from scratch, arranging roses from our garden in crystal vases older than Florida statehood. William would kiss my forehead and say, "You make everything beautiful, Charlie. You always have." Our 20th anniversary, he took me back to Vizcaya. Same spot we got married. He renewed our vows under those poinciana trees while a string quartet played, and our daughters cried happy tears. He whispered in my ear, "I'd marry you 1,000 times, Charlotte Allen. You're the best thing that ever happened to this family." I wore white again. 50 yards of silk chiffon, barefoot on Italian stone, just like I'd been barefoot on Naples beaches my whole life. The photographer caught the moment right as the sun hit the water behind us. Gold light, perfect smiles, his hand on my face like I was something precious. That photo hangs in our bedroom. Hung. Past tense now. Because here's what nobody tells you about postcards. They only show you one side. The side with the sunset and the palm trees and the smiling people. They never flip it over and show you what's written on the back. Everybody said we were the luckiest family in the state. Turns out luck has nothing to do with it. Christmas Eve, 2023. That's when the postcard caught fire. I was in my closet. Not a closet, the closet. 1,200 square feet. Custom built-ins that cost more than my daddy made in 10 years on that shrimp boat. I was looking for the Cartier bracelet William gave me for our 21st anniversary. Diamonds and sapphires. He said the blue matched my eyes. His jacket was hanging on the valet stand, the cashmere one from that shop in Worth Avenue that requires an appointment just to walk through the door. I checked the pockets. Old habit from when the girls were little, and I'd find candy wrappers and seashells. I found a phone instead. Not his phone. A second phone. Black, cheap. The kind you buy at a gas station when you don't want anyone knowing who you're calling. My hands were shaking when I turned it on. No password. He didn't even bother with a password. 67 text messages, all from a contact saved as C. C. Chloe Hartley. 24 years old. Represented by my agency. The girl I personally called when I saw her portfolio 3 years ago. I told her agent, "This kid has something. I want to mentor her." I introduced her to every photographer who ever made me famous. I brought her to charity events. I posted her on my Instagram to my 4 million followers with captions like, "The future is bright." She called me Aunt Charlie. The first text I opened said, "Your wife just posted another thirsty bikini pic. Does she know she looks desperate at her age?" William's response. "She's signing over the spring collection trademark tomorrow. After that, we don't need her to do anything but smile and stay quiet." I sat down on the closet floor, Valentino gowns hanging over my head like ghosts, my breath coming in short gasps that sounded like my mama's asthma attacks. I kept reading. November 15th, Chloe. When are you leaving her? William. After the Paris contracts. Patricia says we need her signature on the European licensing before we move everything offshore. October 3rd. Chloe, I'm tired of hiding. William, baby, we've been patient for 6 years, few more months and the company's ours. She built it, but she's too stupid to read what she signs. September 9th. William, talk to Marcus. The offshore accounts are clean, 22 million, and she doesn't even know it exists. Marcus, William's younger brother, the one who did 2 years at Vanderbilt before dropping out to surf in Costa Rica. The one I gave a job to because Patricia begged me. Director of Finance, because family takes care of family. That's what she said. I scrolled back, and back, and back. 2017, 2014, 2009. The messages went back 6 years, but the theft went back 18. There were screenshots, bank statements, transfer records. My company accounts, drained systematically, rerouted through shell corporations with names like Sunset Holdings and Atlantic Ventures. My signature on documents I didn't remember signing, trademark transfers I never approved, licensing deals that paid into accounts I never saw. $22 million. Gone. Moved offshore to Cayman, accounts under Patricia's name, Marcus's name, some corporation registered in Delaware that I'd apparently signed over to William in 2005. 2005, the year the girls started kindergarten. The year I was shooting 7 campaigns and flying to New York twice a month. The year William said, "Baby, you're exhausted. Let me handle the business side. You just be beautiful." There was a voice memo. I almost didn't play it. My thumb hovered over the screen for 30 seconds. I pressed play. Chloe's voice. Young. Bright. Cruel. She was talking to someone at what sounded like a party. Music in the background. Laughter. Yeah, Charlie Allen. She's so pathetic. Still thinks she's relevant. Posts these inspirational quotes about aging gracefully and inner beauty. Girl, you're 50 and your husband's in my bed 4 nights a week. There's nothing graceful about being that blind. She literally paid for my first headshots. I have her credit card information saved in my phone. She gave it to me for emergencies. I used it for Botox last week. Laughter. Multiple voices laughing. The other voice, female, younger. Does she really not know? Chloe. Are you kidding? Patricia calls her the golden goose. They've been milking her since like 2006. William said his mom had the whole plan. Marry the model, take the company, wait till her face stops selling, then dump her and keep everything. Charlie's so busy being America's sweetheart she doesn't even read her own contracts. It's honestly impressive how dumb someone that successful can be. More laughter. I sat on that closet floor for 40 minutes. The bracelet I'd been looking for was still in my hand. Blue sapphires, the color of my eyes. Downstairs, I could hear Christmas music. The girls were home from college. Caroline's laugh, Elizabeth's voice calling, "Mom, you want to decorate cookies?" Patricia was in the kitchen, probably arranging my food on my plates with her powdered sugar smile. William was in his study, probably texting Chloe about how many more times he had to kiss his pathetic old wife under the mistletoe before he could sneak out to see her. Silent Night was playing on the speakers, the same song my daddy used to sing. I stood up, smoothed my dress, put the phone in my pocket. Walked downstairs with that smile I'd been practicing since I was 19 years old. The one that sold swimsuits in magazines and the lie that I was the luckiest woman in Florida. I made it through Christmas dinner. Through Patricia's blessing about family and gratitude. Through William's toast about how blessed we all were. Through my daughters hugging me and saying, "Mom, you look beautiful. You always look beautiful." At midnight, after everyone was asleep, I went into William's study. Logged into every account. Downloaded 18 years of documents. By 3 in the morning, I knew everything. They'd stolen $29 million. Redirected licensing deals. Sold trademark rights to overseas manufacturers, and pocketed the money. Patricia had been running personal expenses through my company for 12 years. Marcus had a yacht I'd apparently purchased. Chloe had a condo in South Beach with my name on the mortgage. My company, my reputation, my face, my silence, 18 years of family property. I didn't call the police. I called my lawyer. December 26th, 3 in the morning. I'm still in William's study with 18 years of theft spread across 3 monitors. My lawyer, Rebecca Chen, is on her way from Coconut Grove. She told me not to touch anything else, not to confront anyone, not to let them know I know. But while I'm sitting there, staring at offshore account numbers and forged signatures, my brain starts rewinding. Playing back moments I thought I understood. Moments that make sense now. March 20th, 2023, 9 months before Christmas Eve. Before I knew what I was looking at, I'd been shooting in the Keys for 3 days. Islamorada. Sunrise campaign for the summer collection. The photographer wanted golden hour light on turquoise water, so we were starting at 5:30 every morning. My feet were cut up from the coral rocks. My skin was tight from salt, and Sunday, I was exhausted but happy because the shots were gorgeous. I came home a day early, wanted to surprise William, maybe cook him dinner like we used to do when we were young and broke and in love, back when we'd eat stone crab on the dock with our fingers, and he'd tell me I was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. I pulled into our driveway at 2 in the afternoon. William's Range Rover was there, so was Patricia's white Mercedes, and Marcus's Tesla, and Jennifer's Lexus. Jennifer, William's sister. The one who worked in hospitality management at the Fontainebleau until I suggested she might want to help with Sunkist's retail expansion. That was 5 years ago. Now she was vice president of brand development, making $200,000 a year plus bonuses. I walked in through the kitchen. Melina, our housekeeper, looked startled. "Miss Charlie, I thought you were coming back tomorrow." I smiled, wanted to surprise everyone. "What's going on?" She didn't meet my eyes. Family meeting in the dining room. The dining room. The one with the table William's grandfather brought over from Charleston in 1948. Mahogany. Seats 14. We used it for Thanksgiving and Easter and every important moment of our life together. I walked down the hallway, could hear their voices before I saw them. Patricia's voice, sharp as a letter opener. "We need her signature on the European licensing before the end of Q2. After that, 71% transfers to the LLC, and we can restructure however we want." William. The timeline's tight. She's already asking questions about the Singapore manufacturer. Marcus laughing. Charlie doesn't ask questions. She smiles and signs where you tell her to sign. She's been doing it for 20 years. Jennifer. What about the rebrand? I've got designers ready to go with J. Davis Luxe. We pivot the whole line to my aesthetic, younger demographic, phase her face out by fall. My face, my company, my aesthetic, phase me out. I stood in the hallway for 30 seconds, maybe 40, my hand on the wall like I needed it to hold me up. Then I walked in. All of them around my table, contracts spread out like they were planning a wedding instead of a robbery. Patricia in her Lily Pulitzer dress, the pink one with the palm trees. William in his polo shirt, that confident smile already forming when he saw me. Marcus with his laptop open, spreadsheets glowing. Jennifer with fabric swatches and sketches. And in the center of the table, a stack of documents. I could see my signature line, highlighted in yellow. Charlie. William stood up, that smile never faltering. "Baby, you're home early." Patricia kissed my cheek. Her lips felt like dead flowers. "Sugar, you work so hard. We were just having a family business meeting, making sure everything's running smooth for you." I picked up the top document. Transfer of controlling interest. Charlotte Allen Swimwear to Davis Family Holdings, LLC. Effective April 1st, 2023. My signature line at the bottom? 71% of my company. The one I built from a $1,000 loan and a dream. The one that had my daddy's shrimp boat name on the first business card I ever printed. "What's this?" I asked. My voice steady. Pageant girl steady. William moved next to me, his hand on my shoulder. "Just restructuring, baby, for tax purposes. My attorney said it'll save us almost $2 million a year." Rebecca signed off on everything. Rebecca hadn't signed off on anything. I knew that now, sitting in William's study on December 26th at 3 in the morning with her on her way over. Rebecca Chen would eat broken glass before she'd let me sign away my company. But standing in my dining room in March, I didn't know that yet. Jennifer smiled at me, the smile of a woman who was already redecorating my office in her head. "Aunt Charlie, it's actually exciting. We can take the brand in a younger direction. I've been working with some designers in New York. Really fresh aesthetic. Modern. The demo you're pulling is aging out anyway." The demo you're pulling is aging out. I was 49 years old, still booking covers, still the face of my own company, and my husband's 36-year-old sister was telling me I was aging out. Patricia poured sweet tea into crystal glasses, the ones from her mama's estate. "Sugar, you look exhausted. Let family take care of the business side. That's what family does. You just focus on being beautiful and let us handle the complicated parts." The complicated parts. My company, my contracts, my money. I smiled. That Miss Florida smile I could do in my sleep. "Y'all are so sweet to think of all this. Let me just take these to Rebecca. Make sure I understand everything before I sign." William's hand tightened on my shoulder. "Just for a second. Baby, my attorney's already reviewed it. We need to file by month end." I kept smiling. "I know, honey. But you know me. I like to understand what I'm signing. Rebecca's expecting my call anyway about the Paris contracts." I picked up the documents, held them against my chest like they were something precious, walked calmly to my bedroom, closed the door, locked it, and threw up in the marble bathroom until there was nothing left inside me but rage. Between March and December, I became a detective in my own life. I didn't confront William about those documents. I smiled, signed nothing, told him Rebecca needed more time to review. He kissed my forehead and said, "Take all the time you need, baby," like he was doing me a favor. I started digging. First place I went was First Baptist of Coral Gables. That church where we sat every Sunday in the third row, where Patricia ran the altar guild like a military operation, where my name was on a brass plaque in the fellowship hall for being the highest donor 6 years running. I made an appointment with Linda Morrison, the church secretary. Sweet woman, 72 years old, been keeping the books since before I was born. I brought her key lime pie from my mama's recipe and asked to see the donation records for the Allen Davis family. She pulled them up on her ancient desktop computer, the one that still runs Windows XP and takes 5 minutes to load anything. "Miss Charlie, y'all are so generous. Your family's donations have funded our youth mission trips for years." "Show me the numbers, Linda." She scrolled through. I leaned over her shoulder, my heart already knowing what I'd find. 200,000 a year, every year since 2008, checks written from Charlotte Allen Swimwear corporate account to First Baptist of Coral Gables. Except, "Linda, how much of that actually came through?" She frowned at the screen. "Well, let me check our deposit records." She pulled up another file. Click through spreadsheets. We show 73,000, deposited over 15 years, total. I did the math in my head. They'd written $3 million in checks to the church. The church received 73,000. "Where did the rest go, Linda?" She looked confused. Elderly confused. Genuinely lost. "I don't know, honey. The checks must have been deposited somewhere else. Maybe a different account for special projects?" There were no special projects, just Patricia Davis signing my name on checks to our church, depositing them into accounts I didn't know existed, and showing up every Sunday in her pastel suits to accept thank you plaques for generosity she'd stolen from me. Next stop was Tampa, a forensic accountant named Maria Gonzalez. We went to Naples High together. She was valedictorian. I was homecoming queen. She used to help me with calculus in exchange for me teaching her how to do pageant makeup. Now she had her own firm and a reputation for finding money people didn't want found. I gave her everything. Every document, every bank statement, every contract. William's second phone backed up to the cloud. It took her 6 days. She called me on a Wednesday. "Charlie, can you come to my office? I need to show you this in person." I drove to Tampa. 2 hours up I-75, past the exits I used to take to visit my daddy before he died, past the orange groves and the tourist traps and the giant crosses on the side of the highway promising salvation. Maria's office in downtown Tampa, 20th floor, windows overlooking the bay. She had 3 monitors set up, Financial charts that looked like medical scans of something cancerous. Side down, Charlie. Saturday. She walked me through it. $28 million, siphoned over 15 years, not the $22 million I'd found in William's study. 28. Shell corporations. LLCs registered in Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming. Money moving through accounts faster than I could track. The companies had names, dates. Caroline's Light Holdings, incorporated March 12, 2008, my daughter Caroline's birthday. Elizabeth's Trust LLC, incorporated June 29, 2008, my daughter Elizabeth's birthday. They named their theft after my children. Maria kept going. The money moved offshore. Cayman Islands, British Virgin Islands, Switzerland. Patricia's name on most of it. Some in Marcus's name. Some in corporate structures so complex, it took Maria's entire team to untangle them. Then she showed me something that made my vision go white at the edges. Life insurance policy, $60 million, taken out in 2015 when Sunkist went public, and I was worth real money for the first time in my life. William suggested it. Protection for the girls, he said. Make sure they're taken care of if anything happens to you. Original beneficiary, Caroline and Elizabeth Allen Davis. My daughters, equal split. Current beneficiary as of November 2022, Patricia Ann Davis. November 2022. I remembered November 2022. That was 2 weeks after my mammogram scare, the one where they found a shadow, called me back for more imaging, 3 days of thinking I might have breast cancer, 3 days of William holding my hand, telling me we'd get through it together, that I was strong, that I was going to be fine. The shadow turned out to be nothing, dense tissue, common in women my age. But 2 weeks after that scare, while I was still shaking with relief, while I was still thanking God I was healthy, William changed my life insurance beneficiary from our daughters to his mother. $60 million, payable to Patricia Davis upon my death. I sat in Maria's office and did math I never wanted to do. If I died, Patricia got $60 million in insurance, plus the company they were systematically stealing, plus the offshore accounts they'd already filled with $28 million of my money, plus whatever assets they could grab before anyone noticed I was gone. I was worth more dead than alive. And the woman who taught me to sing Blessed Assurance in 4-part harmony at church potlucks, who held my hands during my daddy's funeral, who kissed my cheeks and called me sugar, had been praying I'd die young and profitable. Maria was watching my face. Charlie, I have to ask, do you feel safe? Safe. I drove home from Tampa as the sun set over the Gulf. Pink and gold, and that particular shade of Florida purple that tourists try to photograph but never quite capture. I didn't feel safe. I felt like a woman who'd just realized her entire family had been building her coffin for 18 years, and they were just waiting for the right time to nail it shut. Miami Swim Week. July 2023. 4 months before Christmas Eve. 5 months before I'd find that phone in William's cashmere jacket. The whole city turns into a runway. South Beach becomes a circus of models and photographers and parties that start at midnight and end when the sun comes up over the ocean. It's exhausting and exhilarating, and I'd been doing it for 30 years. This year, Sunkist had the Saturday night slot at the Faina. Prime time. Front row seats, going for $5,000. Every editor from New York flying down. This was our flagship show, the one that set trends for the entire industry. I had a studio in Key Biscayne where we did final fittings, waterfront property, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Biscayne Bay. I'd bought it in 2012 with my first major licensing deal, my sanctuary. The place where I designed every collection, where I felt most like myself. I came in early that Wednesday, 6 in the morning, wanted to check the alterations on the finale pieces before the models arrived. I used my key, walked through the front entrance, could hear voices from the back fitting room. William's laugh, that specific laugh he does when he's trying to impress someone, deep, confident. The laugh that made me fall in love with him on Naples Pier 27 years ago. And another voice. Female, young, familiar. I walked down the hallway, my heels loud on the concrete floors, but they didn't hear me, too busy with whatever they were doing. The fitting room door was half open. William had Chloe Hartley pressed against the full-length mirror, the same mirror where I'd done fittings with her 3 weeks ago, where I'd told her she was going to be a star, where I'd adjusted the straps on the white bikini that was supposed to open our show because I wanted her to feel confident, wanted her to shine. His hands were in her hair, her legs wrapped around his waist, the morning sun coming through the windows turning everything gold. They didn't see me for maybe 10 seconds, maybe 15. Then Chloe's eyes met mine in the mirror. She didn't jump, didn't scream, didn't even look embarrassed. She smiled, unwrapped her legs from my husband, smoothed down her dress, that little sundress from Reformation that cost $200. I knew because I'd bought it for her, told her yellow looked beautiful with her skin tone. William turned around, saw me standing there. And for just a second, maybe half a second, I saw something flicker across his face. Not guilt. Not shame. Calculation. Like he was running numbers. Figuring out his next move. Then that smile. The one that sold me on forever. Charlie. Baby. This isn't what it looks like. I just stood there. Overnight bag still in my hand, coffee from Starbucks getting cold in my other hand, my reflection in that mirror behind them, 49 years old, no makeup yet, hair in a messy bun, wearing the sun-kissed t-shirt from our spring campaign. I looked at Chloe. This girl I'd found on Clearwater Beach 6 years ago. She'd been 19, waiting tables at a seafood restaurant, saving money for community college. I saw her walking on the beach during my morning run and stopped her, told her she had something special, gave her my agent's number. I did more than that. I paid for her to finish her degree at FIU, covered her rent for 3 years, bought her a decent car when hers broke down, introduced her to every photographer, every editor, every designer who'd ever helped me. Made her the face of our junior line. Put her in campaigns that paid $50,000 a shoot. Posted her on my Instagram. Brought her to charity events on my arm. Told everyone, this is Chloe. She's the future. She called me Miss Charlie, sometimes Aunt Charlie. She came to our house for Thanksgiving. The girls loved her. Caroline asked if Chloe could teach her how to pose for photos. I loved her. Like a daughter. Like a younger version of myself, who I could protect from all the mistakes I'd made. And she was looking at me now with those green eyes I'd paid to put on billboards from Miami to Manhattan, and she wasn't sorry at all. Miss Charlie. Her voice steady. Sweet. Like we were having brunch. You're almost 50. The camera doesn't love you the way it used to. Everyone knows it. The bookings are drying up. The editors are calling other names. You're trying to hold on to something that's already gone. I still didn't speak. Couldn't. My throat felt like I'd swallowed sand. William stepped forward. Adjusted his shirt, that casual confidence of a man who'd never faced consequences for anything in his entire Palm Beach life. You gave her everything, baby. She just wanted the rest. The rest. My husband. My company. My studio. My career. My life. Chloe picked up her purse. Walked past me. Stopped at the door. The show's in 3 days, Miss Charlie. I'm still opening, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to disappoint everyone by pulling me now. Not after all those Instagram posts about me being the future of the brand. She left, her perfume hanging in the air, the same perfume I'd helped her pick out at Saks, told her it smelled like summer. William and I stood there in my studio, the sun getting higher, the bay outside turning from pink to blue. He didn't apologize. Didn't explain. Just looked at me like I was a problem he needed to solve. Are we going to make this dramatic, Charlie? Or are we going to be adults about it? I set down my coffee. My overnight bag, looked at this man I'd loved for 27 years. I'll let you know. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't throw William out of the house, or call Patricia, or confront Marcus, or slap Chloe across her perfect face. I grew up watching hurricanes. You don't panic when you see one coming. You board up the windows, fill the bathtub with water, and wait for the storm to show you what it's really made of. Then you rebuild, stronger. December 26th, 3:45 in the morning, Rebecca Chen walked into William's study like she owned it. 5'2", Vietnamese American. Raised in Little Havana by parents who escaped Saigon with nothing and built an empire selling faux and real estate. She wore Chanel and carried a briefcase that cost more than my first car. She looked at the 3 monitors. The 18 years of theft I'd laid out like a crime scene. Jesus Christ, Charlie. We worked until the sun came up. Then we worked through the next day, and the next. William thought I had the flu, told everyone I was resting. Brought me soup I didn't eat. Kissed my forehead like a concerned husband while I planned his destruction from our bedroom. Rebecca brought in specialists. A forensic accountant. A tax attorney from Jacksonville named Thomas Brennan, who had a reputation for making the IRS look like your friendly neighborhood church group. A trademark lawyer. A corporate structures expert who specialized in offshore asset protection. We built 4 weapons, each one designed to cut so deep they'd never stop bleeding. Weapon 1. The new company. Charlie Allen Legacy Limited. Incorporated in the Cayman Islands on December 28th. Rebecca handled everything remotely. Digital signatures. Encrypted communications. The kind of legal maneuvering that costs $50,000 but saves you $50 million. I was the sole owner, sole board member. Every decision mine. No family, no Davis names anywhere near it. We filed it so quietly even God didn't know it existed yet. Weapon 2, the intellectual property transfer. This was the masterpiece. Rebecca and her trademark attorney spent 3 days mapping every asset I actually owned versus what the Davis family thought they'd stolen. My face, my image rights, every photograph from 30 years of modeling, the Charlotte Allen name, the sun-kissed trademark I'd filed in 1998 when I was still doing shoots in my garage, the design patents, the licensing agreements, the international rights, the social media handles, the domain names, every single piece of intellectual property that made my company worth anything. They thought they'd taken it. But here's what William never understood, because he'd never built anything in his life. He'd only inherited things, and married things, and stolen things. You can steal a company, but you can't steal a brand when the brand is a person, and that person is still alive and angry. We drafted transfer documents, every trademark, every image right, every future royalty from every campaign I'd ever shot or would ever shoot. All of it moving from Charlotte Allen Swimwear to Charlie Allen Legacy Limited. Legal, clean, ironclad. Rebecca looked at me over her laptop. When you sign this, you're taking everything. The old company will be an empty shell. No assets, no brand, just debt and a name that means nothing without you. I signed it. December 30th. My signature steady as a heartbeat. Weapon 3. The tax evidence. This was Thomas Brennan's domain, the mean tax attorney from Jacksonville who looked like a retired linebacker and smiled like a shark. He took Maria Gonzalez's forensic accounting reports. $28 million siphoned through shell companies. Patricia's name on most of it. Fake charitable donations. Personal expenses run through my corporate accounts, offshore accounts that never appeared on any tax return. Thomas built a case file, 347 pages, every transaction documented, every law broken highlighted, every count of tax fraud, tax evasion, and wire fraud spelled out in language even the IRS couldn't ignore. $29 million in unpaid taxes. Patricia Davis's name on every single crime. He put it in a folder with a red ribbon. Like a Christmas present. Charlie, when you give this to the IRS, her life is over. She'll lose everything. She might go to prison. She changed my life insurance to herself 2 weeks after my cancer scare, Thomas. She's been stealing from me for 18 years. She named shell companies after my daughter's birthdays. He nodded. Just making sure you understand what you're about to do. I understood perfectly. Weapon 4. The truth about Chloe. This one was Rebecca's idea. She had a private investigator, former FBI. Now he found things people didn't want found. It took him 4 days. He came back with security footage from my Key Biscayne studio. Not just the morning I walked in on them. Multiple dates. Multiple times. William and Chloe in my space. In my mirrors. On my furniture. 6 months of footage I never knew existed because I'd installed the security system for theft prevention, not betrayal documentation. He also found the voice memo. The one from Chloe's phone that somehow ended up on cloud storage. The one where she called me pathetic and dumb and laughed about using my credit card for Botox. Where she said Patricia called me the golden goose. Where she detailed exactly how they'd been planning to phase out my face and take over my company. 3 minutes and 42 seconds of audio that would end her career faster than a Category 5 hurricane. Rebecca saved it to an encrypted drive, ready to deploy. We finished on December 31st. New Year's Eve. While everyone was getting ready for parties and champagne and resolutions, I was in William's study signing the last document. The sale agreement. Charlotte Allen Swimwear. The old company. The empty shell they thought they owned. Selling for $1 to Davis Family Holdings LLC. Rebecca looked at the signature page. They're going to think they won. Let them, I said, for about 48 hours. Then the hurricane makes landfall. January 3rd, 2024. 8 days after Christmas Eve. 3 days after I signed the sale documents in William's study. The Allen Davis Annual Charity Gala, 23rd year. Every January we hosted 800 of Florida's wealthiest on our Key Biscayne lawn, white tent strung with imported orchids. 16-piece orchestra, champagne from France that cost more per bottle than my daddy made in a week on that shrimp boat. This year's cause, youth arts education. Fitting, considering Chloe Hartley was a youth I'd personally educated in how to destroy someone who loved you. The tent looked like something from a wedding magazine. Silk draping, crystal chandeliers hanging from rigging that required structural engineers. Tables set with china that belonged to William's great-grandmother. Patricia had overseen every detail, naturally. This was her stage. Her moment to show Miami society that the Davis family was still Florida royalty. I wore white. Valentino. Simple. Elegant. My hair up the way I used to wear it on magazine covers. Minimal jewelry. Just my wedding ring and the diamond earrings William gave me for our 10th anniversary. I looked like the perfect hostess, the golden goose, the woman who smiled and signed where you told her to sign. William worked the room in his tuxedo. Shaking hands. That quarterback confidence. Patricia held court near the bar in Oscar de la Renta. Accepting compliments on the orchids. Marcus and Jennifer were at the head table, already counting money they thought they'd stolen. Chloe wasn't invited. I'd told William it would look inappropriate, her being so young. He'd agreed, relieved, probably. Easier to maintain the illusion when your mistress isn't watching your wife give a speech. At 8:30, the orchestra stopped. Everyone found their seats. The lights dimmed to that perfect gala glow. I walked to the small stage we'd set up, microphone in hand, 800 faces looking at me, friends, business partners, society pages, people I'd known for 30 years. My daughters were at the front table, Caroline and Elizabeth, home from college for winter break. They didn't know what was about to happen. I'd kept them out of it, protected them the way I wished someone had protected me. I started with the usual, "Thank you for coming. Your generosity changes lives." This year we've raised $400,000 for youth arts programs across Miami-Dade County. Applause, champagne glasses raised. Patricia beaming like she'd personally painted every child's masterpiece. Then I paused, took a breath. But before we continue, I need to share something with all of you, because this community has supported me for 3 decades. You've bought my swimsuits, booked me for your campaigns, invited me into your homes, and I believe in honesty, even when it's ugly. I could feel William tense at his table. Patricia's smile freezing. I nodded to the tech crew. The screens we'd set up for the donation slideshow flickered to life, all 6 of them, impossible to miss from anywhere in the tent. What appeared wasn't pictures of smiling children with paintbrushes. It was security footage, black and white, time-stamped. Patricia in my office, my signature stamp in her hand, documents spread across my desk, her forging my name, over and over, the date spanning years. The tent went silent, you could hear the ocean. Next clip. My Key Biscayne studio. William and Chloe. Not the worst footage. I'm not cruel. But enough. His hands in her hair, her legs around his waist, the mirror behind them. Multiple dates, multiple times. 6 months of betrayal in 60 seconds. Someone gasped. Maybe multiple people. Next clip. Documents. The life insurance beneficiary change. My name, Caroline, and Elizabeth's names crossed out. Patricia Ann Davis typed in. Date, November 14th, 2022. 2 weeks after my mammogram scare, highlighted in yellow. The orchestra conductor was staring at the screen like he couldn't process what he was seeing. Final clip. Audio over a black screen. Chloe's voice. That recording from the party. Yeah, Charlie Allen, she's so pathetic, still thinks she's relevant. Patricia calls her the golden goose. Once the old hag croaks, we split the empire 50-50. I've been using her credit card for Botox. She gave it to me for emergencies. It's honestly impressive how dumb someone that successful can be. Laughter on the recording. Cruel, young, vicious. Then, silence in the tent. Complete silence except for the ocean and someone's chair scraping against the floor. I let it sit. Let them absorb it. Let them look at William's face going white. Patricia standing up, her mouth open. Marcus trying to leave, but people blocking the exit. Then I spoke. My voice steady. Pageant girl steady. Effective this morning at 9 a.m., Charlotte Allen Swimwear was sold to Davis Family Holdings LLC for $1. That's what they wanted. That's what they got. An empty company with no assets, no trademarks, no intellectual property, and no future. I paused. Smiled. The same smile I'd been giving cameras for 30 years. Everything that made that company worth anything now belongs to Charlie Allen Legacy Limited. The new collection walks at Miami Swim Week in 6 days. Under my name, my rules, my company. I set the microphone down on the stage. Not dropped, set, gently. With intention. The IRS received a very detailed package this afternoon regarding $29 million in tax evasion. I'm sure they'll be in touch with the appropriate parties. I walked off the stage, my heels loud on the wooden platform, the tent still silent. Walked past my daughters who were staring at me with wide eyes. Past Patricia, who looked like she'd been struck by lightning. Past William, who finally understood what a hurricane looks like when it makes landfall. I walked out of that tent, out of that life, and into the rest of my story. Behind me, chaos, shouting, Patricia screaming, William calling my name. But I was already gone. January 4th, 6:17 in the morning. The sun wasn't even up yet. My phone started ringing. Rebecca Chen. Charlie, turn on the news. I was already awake, hadn't slept, was sitting on my balcony watching the Atlantic turn from black to gray, drinking coffee that tasted like metal. I turned on Channel 7. Local news, breaking story banner across the bottom. IRS raids Coral Gables estate. Massive tax fraud investigation. Helicopter footage. Patricia's house in Coral Gables, the one William's grandfather built in 1953. White columns, circular driveway, royal palms lining the street like sentries. Federal agents. Dark SUVs. That particular brand of government efficiency that doesn't care about your last name or your country club membership or how many charity balls you've chaired. They were carrying boxes, computers, filing cabinets, Patricia's entire life in cardboard and evidence bags. The news anchor's voice, professional and detached. Federal agents executed a search warrant this morning on the Coral Gables home of Patricia Ann Davis, prominent philanthropist and socialite. Sources say the investigation involves nearly $30 million in alleged tax evasion, spanning more than a decade. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. A voice I didn't recognize, young, shaking. It's Jennifer Davis, please. My mom, they're arresting her. Can you call them off? Can you fix this? I hung up. By 7:30, the chaos was everywhere. Chloe's modeling agency dropped her. I know because her agent called me, crying, begging me to make a statement, say it was all a misunderstanding, that the footage was edited. That Chloe was a good girl who made a mistake. I said nothing. Hung up. The footage from the gala was already viral. Someone recorded it on their phone, posted it on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. By 8 a.m., it had 4 million views. By 9, 12 million. Chloe Hartley's name was trending. Not in a good way. The comments were brutal, vicious. The internet doesn't forgive young women who steal from women they called aunt. Her Instagram lost 200,000 followers in 3 hours. Brands started scrubbing her from their campaigns. The beauty company that just signed her for $2 million announced they were terminating her contract effective immediately. She was 24 years old and her career was over before breakfast. William's Country Club called him at 10:15. I know because he called me immediately after, screaming. They revoked my membership, Charlie. 30 years. My father's club. My grandfather's club. They said I'm an embarrassment to the institution. Old Palm Beach money doesn't forgive public humiliation. Doesn't matter how many generations your family goes back. You humiliate them in front of 800 witnesses, with security footage of you cheating on your wife in her own studio, and suddenly those lunch reservations disappear. Those golf foursomes find other players. Those investment opportunities dry up faster than rain in the Everglades. Marcus called at 11, also screaming. The business partners were pulling out. The investors wanted their money back. The board of his startup voted him out. His name was toxic. Davis was toxic. Everything they'd touched was contaminated. I didn't answer any of them. At noon, I was still on my balcony, still drinking coffee, still watching the ocean. That's when I heard the gate buzzer. Security camera showed Patricia's Mercedes. White. Pristine. The same car she'd driven to church every Sunday for 27 years. She got out, barefoot, hair wild, mascara running down her face like hurricane rain, still wearing her nightgown, a silk thing that probably cost $2,000. She was holding her Bible, the one with her name embossed in gold on the cover, the one she read from at every church potluck and prayer meeting and charity event. I watched her on the camera. She pressed the buzzer again. And again. Her hand shaking. "Charlotte, please. Charlotte, I know you can hear me. Please." I should have stayed inside. Let security handle it. Let her stand there in her nightgown and her bare feet and her smeared makeup until she gave up and went home. But I didn't. I walked down to the gate, stood on my side, her on the other, wrought iron between us. Up close, she looked ancient, 73 years old and every single year showing. Without her Chanel suits and her pearls and her Alter Guild smile, she was just an old woman who'd gambled everything and lost. "Charlotte." Her voice cracking. "We're family. Family." I thought about Thanksgiving dinners, 27 years of them. Her sitting at the head of my table, saying grace over food I cooked, in a house I paid for, surrounded by people who were plotting my destruction between bites of turkey and sweet potato casserole. I thought about her teaching me to sing Blessed Assurance in 4-part harmony, her hand on my shoulder in the choir room, her saying, "Sugar, you have such a beautiful voice." I thought about her changing my life insurance beneficiary to herself 2 weeks after my cancer scare. 29 million in stolen money in accounts named after my daughter's birthdays. I looked at her, this woman who'd kissed my cheeks and called me sugar and prayed I'd die young. And I quoted the verse she'd taught me when I was baptized at 19 years old, the one from Mark, the one she made me memorize. "For what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" I let that sit. Let her remember teaching it to me. Let her remember thinking I'd stay blind forever. "You gained my world, Patricia. Now lose yours." I walked back to the house. Left her standing at the gate. Barefoot. Bible in hand. Mascara running. She screamed my name. Begged. Cried. Quoted scripture back at me. I closed the door, the ocean breeze, the morning Sunday, the sound of her voice fading into distance. Justice doesn't always look like a courtroom. Sometimes it looks like an old woman at a locked gate, finally understanding what it means to lose everything. July 7th, 2025, Miami Swim Week. 1 year and 6 months after that Christmas Eve. 18 months after I found the phone in William's cashmere jacket. The Faina Hotel, Saturday night. Prime time slot. Every editor from New York. Every photographer who mattered. Front row seats going for $10,000 now, instead of 5. Charlie Allen legacy. My show, my name, my rules. A lot happened in those 18 months. Patricia was indicted on 47 counts of tax evasion, wire fraud, and conspiracy. She took a plea deal. 3 years federal prison, 5 years probation, restitution of $31 million including penalties. She'd serve her time at the minimum security facility in Marianna, Florida. Not exactly club-fed, but not the nightmare she deserved either. William filed for divorce. I beat him to it by 6 hours. Filed first in Miami-Dade County with Rebecca Chen's entire legal team behind me. The settlement took 4 months. He got nothing. Literally nothing. The prenup I'd signed 27 years ago turned out to have a fidelity clause his own attorneys had insisted on. Ironic. He walked away with his trust fund and whatever dignity he could salvage from country clubs that no longer returned his calls. Marcus's startup collapsed. Investors pulled out. Partners sued. Last I heard he was bartending in Key West, living in a studio apartment above a tourist trap that sold seashell ashtrays. Jennifer lost her house, her car, her Lexus dealer job when they found out she was part of the family that made national news for defrauding a supermodel. She moved in with her mother's sister in Tampa, worked retail at a mall. Chloe Hartley disappeared from modeling entirely. Last Instagram post was January 5, 2024. Comments disabled, then nothing. I heard she moved back to Clearwater, working at the same seafood restaurant where I found her 7 years ago. Sometimes karma doesn't need help, it just needs time. My daughters, Caroline and Elizabeth, they're at the University of Florida now, full scholarships that I control through the foundation I started. They know everything. I told them the whole truth. They cried. They were angry. But they understood. Family isn't blood. It's who shows up when everything's burning and helps you rebuild. And me. I turned 50 on March 22, 2025. Sports Illustrated called. Vogue called. Every magazine that had ever put me on a cover called. They wanted the comeback story. The phoenix rising. The woman who took back her power at 50. I said yes to all of it. Tonight's show was the culmination. The finale. 32 looks, all designed by me. Hand-beaded. Every piece telling a story about survival and strength, and women who refuse to disappear just because society says their time is up. Backstage was controlled chaos. Models. Hair. Makeup. The energy that happens right before magic. I was in my dressing room. White one-piece swimsuit. Custom. Hand-beaded with tiny Florida oranges. Thousands of them. It took 3 women 400 hours to create. It caught light like sunrise on water. My mama's voice in my head. You were born in sunshine, baby girl. Don't ever let anyone dim you. The show started at 8. I watched from backstage as each model walked. Young women, older women, every age, every size, every shade of beautiful. This wasn't about perfection. It was about power. The finale music started. That's my cue, the final walk. The moment when the designer appears with the last model and the whole show builds to its peak. Except tonight, I wasn't walking with a model. I was the model. At 50 years old, I walked that runway alone. The lights hit me like a physical thing. White. Gold. Hot as a Florida afternoon. The music swelled. The audience rose to their feet. Front row, my daughters. Caroline in a pale blue piece from the collection. Elizabeth in coral, both of them crying, both of them beaming, both of them free. Behind them, editors, photographers, industry people who'd watched me for 3 decades. Some of them had written me off, said I was too old, said my time was over. Said the camera doesn't love women over 45 the way it loves youth. They were wrong. I walked slowly. Deliberately. Let them see every line on my face. Every year I'd earned. Every battle I'd survived. This body that bore children. This face that sold dreams. This woman who refused to disappear. Back row. Last seat. Partially hidden behind a column. Patricia Davis. Thinner. Grayer. Wearing clothes I didn't recognize. Not designer. Not expensive. Just clothes. She was clutching a program like it was a hymnal. Like she was in church instead of at a fashion show. Our eyes met. 3 seconds. Maybe 4. No hatred in my chest, no rage, no need for revenge anymore because revenge was already complete. Just recognition. 2 women who knew each other's worst truths, who'd sung hymns together and destroyed each other, and survived to see who'd stand at the end. I blew her the tiniest kiss, the same one she taught me to give pageant judges when I was 19, the one that said, I see you, I acknowledge you, and I've already won. Then I turned into the lights, walked to the end of the runway, stood there as cameras flashed like lightning, as the audience roared, as my daughters stood and cheered. I raised my arms, felt the light on my face, the same light that made me famous at 19, except this time it wasn't lighting up someone else's property. It was lighting up a free woman. They thought they owned the sunshine because they owned the girl who reflected it. They were wrong. You can't own light. You can't cage sunrise. You can't steal someone's soul even if you steal their money. I just took the sky back. And for the first time in 50 years, the sun rose and set on nobody's terms but mine.